more or something less. Naturally, this question of existence and identity has been one that has been grappled with ever since the beginning, dealing with our natural existence as human beings. Scientists and philosophers and the like have all asked the question of how did we get here and why are we really here? Scientists like Charles Darwin and the like have postulated and theorized about the genesis of mankind through scientific means. We're all familiar with Darwin's theory of evolution that suggests that mankind evolved from tadpoles, which later became apes, which later became fully functioning human beings. This theory of evolution suggests that the earth was formed through some cosmic explosion, which brought about order and harmony in the universe. But where this theory falls apart, if there's any truth to it anyway, is why all of this happened in the first place. Why are we here? Who is responsible for us being here? The reason this theory doesn't have an answer is because the reason this theory didn't answer the question is because it doesn't have an answer to this question. In the eyes of science, whatever science cannot explain does not exist. This is the reason why they cannot understand or comprehend the concept of God. Because God is incomprehensible. He said, my ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts. For as high as the heaven is from the earth, so are my ways from your ways, and my thoughts from your thoughts. I believe Paul picked it up in 1 and 2 Timothy, where he said, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, and received up into glory. So his godliness is a mystery. And so because his identity is incomprehensible and beyond scientists' explanation, they just take the easy route and say he doesn't exist. This is the reason why the Bible is not used as scientific evidence of our beginning, because in order to believe the Bible, you have to believe in the God of the Bible. If you don't believe in the God of the Bible, then you surely won't believe in His Word. So science seeks to create an alternate reality separate from the Bible to explain our existence. But science and philosophy didn't stop in their pursuit of finding answers to these seemingly unanswerable questions. There was a philosopher by the name of Rene Descartes who grappled with this question of existence. How do I know that I exist? How do I know that I am in fact alive? How do I philosophically and psychologically and metaphysically explain or come to this conclusion? So he came up with a philosophical statement to explain his existence and thereby our existence. The Latin phrase is cogito ergo sum. I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am. Which later became I think, therefore I am. This concept behind the statement is that if someone is wondering whether or not they exist, then that in and of itself is proof of their existence. Essentially, the inquiry itself is evidence of our existence. Our brain power, our mental capacity, this in and of itself is evidence of our existence. But what's interesting to me is that science and philosophy would much rather bestow credit on our mind and our brain and our mental capacity for our existence rather than the God that created the mind. Well, this explains a lot about how mixed up and confused our society is. But, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, science didn't stop there in its pursuit of answers to these questions of existence and identity. In fact, in the early 1900s, science attempted to answer this question again with the discovery of what is called deoxyribonucleic, or DNA, as it is commonly recognized, which is a nucleic acid that contains the genetic instructions used in the development and functioning of all known living organisms and all living organisms. The main goal of DNA molecules is the long-term storage of information. It's often been compared to as a set of blueprints, a recipe or code, since it contains the instructions needed to construct other components of our cells. Now, the basic premise of this technology is that everyone has a genetic identification that cannot be refuted. Everyone has a scientific identification card that is recognizable everywhere we go. The evidence of our existence is made up of a composition of scientific coding that identifies who we are. It's found in our hair samples, it's found in our blood samples, and in our urine and our semen samples. All of this provides irrefutable evidence of our genetic identification. Subsequently, it appears that science has concretely answered the question of our physical identity through this technology we call DNA. But what science has also unwittingly done in this discovery of DNA technology is proven our own genesis through creation based on our own biological individuality. I'm going somewhere, you hang with me. Because God allows scientists to discover through science what He's already done. Science is a mode of discovery, not creation. Everything that God wanted created has already been created. Scientists don't create, they discover what God already created. I wish I had a witness in this place. But what scientists typically do is take credit for what God created. Even though by definition discovery is finding what was already there, when creation is the ability to make something out of nothing. So discovery in science is a gift from God because God was there in the beginning, and He facilitates the progress of this community of intellects that continues to refuse to give Him credit for what He created. But God's going to get the glory some kind of way. I wish I had a witness in this place. He's going to get the glory out of our lives. But the evidence of what He's done speaks louder than all of the scientific journals, studies, and theories and hypotheses that have ever been concocted. You see, the uniqueness of which we were created, which has been proven through science, speaks to the painstaking and meticulous care of how God created us. I believe David said in Psalms 139:14 that I will praise Thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are Thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. David was recognizing that God took some time to create him. And He didn't create him by accident, but that God fashioned and shaped him even before the foundations of the world. And our uniqueness and our individuality is indicative of purpose. There is a reason that there is nobody else in the world like you. There's a reason that no one else has the same fingerprint as you. There's a reason that no one else in the world has the same DNA as you. We were not created coincidentally or haphazardly, but we were created by divine providence and purpose. So I came to build someone's self-esteem on this morning. Let you know that you are somebody. That you are a winner. You've been fearfully and wonderfully made. You have purpose. That you have destiny deposited in your life. Give God a praise if you believe that in this place. This fact and this fact alone, people of God, confirms for us what has happened through science. But before we can, but we can now see, centuries later, science